Hey everyone, in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to go from this image to this one. Okay, well, I actually had a post on my blog last week or a week and a half ago. It was showing you what I actually did to teach myself how to take pictures of fireworks. I had never done it before, so if you guys have a chance, head over to my blog to check out basically the different camera settings that I use, and actually a few other pictures that I actually took that same night. These photos were actually taken during the Montreal International Fireworks Competition, which is an awesome event that happens every year in Montreal. So you can read up about that as well. I put a little blurb on that blog as well. But once I posted on my blog, a lot of people came back to me and said, well, did you do any post-processing? And if so, what did you do exactly? So I figured, I'd show you guys a little bit, the settings that I used. Obviously, I am using right now Adobe Lightroom 5. I'm sure most of the stuff that I'm doing here will work fine in Adobe Lightroom 4 and maybe even 3. I don't remember. But 4 definitely has most of the features here. So this is the final image, and this is what I actually started off with. So I really liked the shape. I loved what was going on in this image, the boats, the lights in the distance as well. So I actually really liked this image that I took, but I felt it needed a little bit of color. And to do so is actually very, very easy. Again, the colors that I used are purely, due to my taste. You could have used, you can use anything that you'd actually like. So what I actually did to the image, started off with the white balance. So by just simply picking auto, it kind of corrects it a little bit. But now what I wanted to do is actually add a little bit of pink in there, make it somewhat purple, and just let's reduce that that blue a little bit as well. And you see that we're getting a little bit closer to the final image that I actually had. At the same time, I find it's fairly dark as well. So I'm gonna bump up my exposure a little bit, and just let's add a little bit of contrast as well. Now at the same time, what I like to do here, with the highlights and shadows, these magical sliders that are actually there, it's one way of really getting all of the detail out, especially when you're shooting raw. These were shot all raw, and we can reduce the highlights. I don't go all the way on fireworks because you still want, that explosiveness, that brilliant light that's coming from these explosions. And we can open up the shadows a little bit more though. And as you can see, I went all the way to 100 here, and you start to really see the detail. So if we just maybe go back, this was very dark. You open this up and you really start to see the detail in the water, you start to see the detail in the background, etc. Even on the bridge here, just fantastic. Now, the next step, the whites and the blacks. Well, by holding Alt here, you can just play with this slider, and I like to just get a little bit of white there. You don't want to go too far to the right. You're going to end up with something that's way too oversaturated. I mean, that may be something that you like, but it's not my cup of tea. So just hold down the Alt and go as far as you'd like to go. For me, I'll stop around maybe +7. And with the blacks, same thing, except that you can go a lot further with this. So, I want a lot of contrast there, and it is a dark shot, and you really want the fireworks to pop. And that's why, I'm going a little bit further. I'm going to around -40. And let's bump up our clarity a little bit, and maybe also add a little bit of vibrance. and you're starting to see already that this shot is starting to look a lot better than it was. If I switch back to what I had before I made these edits, you'll see that you'll see what it was. So it was a little bit boring here, and then we switch it back, and you kind of have a much nicer image. So that's pretty much what I do in the basics section, at least for this image. That's what I actually did. From there, you can go down to actually, I want to crop this. I don't really like what's happening here on the right side. There's I want to center this a little bit. I want to make a tighter crop. At the same time, I don't really like what's happening here as well with the railing. I couldn't go all the way to the edge to take the picture, so I actually had to include some of the railing in there. But we can crop it out. I mean, obviously using Photoshop, you can actually come in here and completely remove it, but we'll stick to Lightroom for now. So let's go ahead and maybe crop that in a little bit. And we do want to keep the boat in there. I may want a little bit of the fence. I don't mind having some of the fence in there, but as long as the star of the show is the actual explosion of the fireworks. So let's see how that looks, and that's looking pretty good right there. And I guess in the case of this picture, maybe a little bit of post crop vignetting, just to bring more emphasis to the center of the image. And finally, we can go in and maybe just do a little bit of fine tuning. Now, these images, as you can see here on the top left, I shot them at ISO 200. This is what my camera allowed to do, and I was at f11. So noise is fairly minimal here, so you don't really have to worry about it. But we can go ahead and maybe add some sharpening, and let's use the mask again. Use the Alt key. I'll just zoom out here. Use the Alt key to see what you're masking out. So anything here that's actually in black is not being sharpened. Anything that's in white is being sharpened. So let's go to maybe around 75. That looks about right. So the image is nice and sharp. And just in case, let's add in a little bit of noise reduction, just to get rid of any noise that might end up in the shot. So that's very clean, very nice. And I guess we can maybe compare it to the original image, because I don't think I did anything more than that. So I actually like the new one a little bit more. I don't know. Sometimes when you revisit the images that you're actually editing, there's so many ways to edit them, and I kind of like this a little bit more. I think it might be a little bit more processed than the original one, but you know what? Every day is a new day, and our tastes change regularly. So this is pretty much how I did it. As you saw, it took less than 5 minutes to set this up. As long as you shoot raw, you should be okay. You could do all of these edits and not worry about it. You'll have complete control over the image. So hopefully this was helpful to a couple of you guys. Again, if you want to know about some of the camera tricks, not really tricks, but techniques that I actually used, and some of the settings I actually used to shoot these images, head over to my blog. I'll post a link somewhere around here, and please post your comments, send me your feedback, and if you have any questions, let me know. So thanks a lot, and see you soon.